In 1900, the United States stood at the threshold of a new century, a nation of contrasts, bustling cities, vast farmlands, and a population surging with immigrants seeking a better life. Industrialization had transformed American cities. Factories rose, smoke filled the skies, and the rhythm of machinery defined daily life. Immigration was at its peak. Millions arrived from Europe, bringing hopes, dreams, and the challenges of adapting to a foreign land. Cities were crowded. Tenements housed families in tiny rooms, while alleyways buzzed with life, commerce, and survival. Across the country, life in rural America was different. Farmers toiled the land, facing the unpredictability of weather and markets, yet tied to tradition and family. The economy was booming but unequal. Wealth concentrated in the hands of industrialists, while laborers, women, and children endured harsh conditions. Technology reshaped everyday life. Electricity, telephones, and streetcars began connecting cities and people in ways never before imagined. Politics and society were in flux. President William McKinley led a nation balancing expansion, reform, and the demands of a rapidly changing population. Immigrant communities preserved their traditions while adapting to America. Cultural enclaves became microcosms of the old world within the new. Urbanization brought both opportunity and tension. The city promised jobs and education, yet inequality, disease, and crime were daily threats. Factories demanded long hours, often with dangerous machinery. Child labor was common, and workers' rights were only beginning to emerge. Steel and railroad industries expanded rapidly, fueling the economy but also creating wealth gaps and harsh working conditions. Labor unions began to form, demanding better pay, safer working conditions, and an 8-hour workday. Despite hardships, communities formed strong social bonds, supporting one another through mutual aid societies and cultural organizations. Women started advocating for suffrage, education, and labor rights. Challenging societal norms in the era immigration brought diversity, but also tension. Xenophobia and nativist movements reflected the struggle to integrate. Millions of newcomers, 20th century. Technology advanced rapidly. Electric trolleys, telegraphs, and the first automobiles began to reshape urban landscapes. Education was slowly expanding. Compulsory schooling began to take root, though rural areas still lagged behind cities in literacy and access. Entertainment included vaudeville, theater, newspapers, and outdoor fairs, providing escape from the hardships of daily life. Urban planning and sanitation were major concerns. Cities struggled with overcrowding, pollution, and public health crises. Many immigrants settled in ethnic enclaves, creating vibrant communities that preserved languages, foods, and traditions from home. Italian, Jewish, Polish, and Irish immigrants added to the cultural mosaic of American cities, shaping neighborhoods that remain H. Religious life provided comfort and community. Churches, synagogues, and temples became centers of social support for newcomers. Historic today, festivals, parades, and celebrations allowed immigrant communities to express identity while integrating into American life. Food culture blossomed. Markets sold both imported goods and local produce, reflecting the diversity of the music and entertainment flourished. Ragtime and early jazz rhythms filled dance halls and theaters. Across the country, a population. Photography captured daily life, immortalizing the faces of workers, children, and immigrants. In a nation on the rise, newspapers and magazines expanded rapidly, shaping public opinion and connecting Americans from coast to coast. Education reforms brought new schools, libraries, and literacy programs, fostering hope for future genera. Despite progress, poverty remained widespread. Social reformers sought to address the needs of the urban poor and children tie-ins. President McKinley's administration navigated a nation in transition, balancing industrial growth with social unity. America pursued expansionist policies abroad, engaging in territories like the Philippines and Cuba after the Spanish-American War. The annexation of territories fueled debates over imperialism, citizenship, and America's role on the global stage. Domestically, debates over tariffs, trusts, and economic policy reflected a country grappling with modernization. Urban reform movements sought to address corruption, public health, and housing conditions in growing cities. Labor unrest continued as workers organized strikes and unions to demand fair wages and better working conditions. Women became increasingly active in political and social movements, fighting for suffrage and labor rights. African Americans faced systemic discrimination, yet communities flourished culturally and socially, particularly in northern cities. Education reform slowly improved literacy, but disparities between urban and rural areas persisted. As the century turned, Americans looked forward with hope, optimism, and the challenges of a modernizing world. Strikes erupted in textile mills, steel factories, and railroads, highlighting tensions between labor and management. Settlement houses provided support for immigrants, offering education, child care, and cultural programs. Progressive reformers fought for child labor laws, public health, and women's rights in cities. The fight for women's suffrage gained momentum, with rallies, speeches, and organized advocacy. Campaigns and towns. Labor. Unions gained political influence, pushing for safer working conditions and fairer wages across industries. Social reform also targeted urban poverty, slums, and public sanitation. Aiming to improve life for the working class, philanthropy began to play a role, with wealthy individuals funding libraries, schools, and hospitals. Industrial. Accidents and unsafe working conditions prompted calls for government oversight and regulation. Immigrant. Communities organized mutual aid. Societies providing financial help and cultural pressure. By mid-century, the seeds of social progress were sown, setting the stage for reforms in the decades to come. Vation. Vaudeville theaters and live performances entertained city dwellers, offering an escape from daily labor. Ragtime music swept the nation, reflecting energy, innovation, and the blending of cultural influences. Sports like baseball and boxing became popular, uniting communities and offering leisure activities for all classes. Newspapers thrived, shaping public opinion and reporting both national and international news. Fairs and expositions displayed technological marvels, consumer goods, and cultural exhibits to a curious public.